Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. On today's show, we're going to be discussing, this is a big title, Why Your Business Will Fail by 2020. The man that's bringing the bad news, I'm afraid, today is joining me in the studio is Warren Knight. He's a top 100 global influencer in 2017. He's also an award-winning blogger, author, digital entrepreneur and digital transformation strategist too. Warren, it's lovely to have you back. It's a long time since you've been on the show.
It has. Thank you very much for inviting me. I do appreciate it. Yes, it's nearly 3 years ago
3 years, and so much has happened. I know
so much has happened.
Your business has changed. The book is still out there. You're all doing well. For those people that don't know Warren Knight, go on then. What's the 1 minute pitch?
The 1 minute pitch.
Well, it can be a bit longer. If you want.
Okay. My vision is to help 100,000 entrepreneurs go through a profound digital transformation by 2020.
Now, what does that mean?
That basically means that my passion for everything that I've been learning about online for the last 10 years, I want to help companies to embrace the use of technology to be able to help them market and get sales for their business. So that's my goal. I have a vision of wanting to do that. I've been doing a lot of research and testing and tracking, especially over the last 3 years. And for me, companies need to embrace, this digital world for them to be successful in the future. And that's what I want to help.
What size business do you think you're targeting? I mean, obviously our audience is quite varied, the audience that we have. So what size business are you talking about?
For me, it's all about working with the business owner, or at least someone that's kind of quite high up in the chain if it's a corporate business. Because then the acceptance of change has to happen first of all. And when you accept that things need to change within the business, then you are in the position to want to implement that change. Because if you try and work too low down in the ranks of the company, there might be changes happening, but further up the chain, they might not actually realise why those changes are happening and could stop them before they have real effect. Because it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I've been really looking at everything over the last 3 years of how my business has evolved. And I've kind of broken that process, if you like, down to 5 different ways to help people go through a digital transformation.
Which we'll obviously talk about as the programme goes on. When you go into businesses at the moment, what do you think the biggest single mistake is that you're seeing? We kind of always ask this question, but what is it? You're an expert in what you're trying to achieve. You know what you're trying to achieve. You go into businesses, they probably actually know the answers to their issues or their problems. But what is the most common thing that you come up against?
The most common thing for me is they're using the wrong technology to achieve an outcome for their style of business. So every business owner is slightly different, and the way that business works. I'm a professional speaker, and there are lots of professional speakers that specialise in social media, digital marketing. There are digital transformation experts that are out there that work from an internal perspective. So they'll try and get the technology of the staff talking to each other better, rather than, but I emailed you 2 days ago, or it went into my spam box. Well, actually, there's better technology that can work in more real time to build better engagement. What I love to do is really getting companies to understand how they can connect with their customers online. So who are those people that are interested in what you're saying? They're visitors. Then we take that visitor and turn that visitor into a prospect, where now we've got their details, and we were talking about GDPR earlier, but where we've got their contact details, then we can really nurture that database and turn that particular prospect into a happy customer, and then that happy customer into a great brand advocate, which I know you're a very good brand advocate of mine, so thank you for that. So it's really about the sales and marketing process of taking your business and talking about who you are, what you do, and the passion that you have, and taking that online.
When you look at businesses, you're talking there about databases. Do you think people believe that they understand what they're talking about, in as much as they understand how important a database is, but they don't understand exactly how to go about looking after that database, how important the database is, where they get the information from, the integrity of it? Is that a big issue that you see with organisations? Because you can market to thousands of people if you want to, but if none of them are listening, then it's just pointless.
It is. So the way that I look at this, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. First of all, so I'll give you, for instance, I've got a client who's got 1.2 million people on their Facebook page.
Great.
Which is a huge number to have.
And he's engaging with each and every one of them every day.
Of course, all the time. But when we looked at again the type of engagement that's happening, and the reality of, you've got two ways to look at it: return on engagement and return on investment. So when you're using social media, focus on the return on engagement. You know, we'll come back to your original question around that, but brands need to focus on, one social network, get that return on engagement, get that the time that you put into it, and get them out of that social network into your environment, which is your database. Your database is powerful, and I look at it in three different ways. One, who are your top 20% clients that are bringing in 80% of your business?
The old 80-20.
The old Pareto's 80-20 law. But it's so true, because when you actually sit down and go, right, okay, I have 1,000 customers, let's just put that number out there. And actually, those top 20, customers on mine do bring in 80% of my revenue. But what is the tone of voice that I'm using with my marketing? Is it connecting with the 80% of people that are, let's say, potentially a little bit more trouble, than actually what their worth is from a monetary perspective, the time that you give in?
This is where you fire your customers, isn't it?
Precisely.
Fire your customers.
Fire the customers.
Yeah.
So this is where brands at the moment, from a digital transformation perspective, are struggling, because they're so used to talking to that 80%. And what we need to do is look at that database, fine-tune that database in regards to who do we want to keep and who do we want more of, who are engaging with us at the moment and spending money with us, that we know that if we worked hard on our tone of voice to those guys, we could move them up and bring them into our top tier, so our platinum clients. And those guys that are sitting down at the bottom, that are utilising a lot of our time, that's when we start getting to a decision to say, thank you very much for being a great customer of ours, but in where we are in our business at the moment, I don't think we're in the right place to be able to help you. But I do recommend so and so and so and so.
With the technologies out there, thinking digital, as the book says, think digital first.
Yes.
Is there just too much noise out there, do you think? Have we made it overly complicated now for not only the businesses to get in front of the consumer, but for the consumer to understand what businesses they should be in front of?
100%. And that's where content is so powerful. We need to communicate what it is that we do to our customers, but not, please come and buy from me. It's, come and take a look at how this great case study worked for a client that's in your sector, and look at the results that they got. Oh, and download this, white paper to read it. Okay, so you're an accountancy firm reading about an accountancy white paper. I've now got your details. I know you're interested in going through X transformation with your business, whatever that might be. And now through my email marketing process, I can now find out, are you the right size business to work with? Are you ready to have change within your business? How can we help you? And through the automation process, you can get to a tick, that customer needs a phone call, that customer needs a face-to-face meeting, or let's just nurture that database until they are ready, and at that point they are ready, then we can then have a conversation with them.
Do you think businesses are scared of focusing to specialise on one particular market sector? Every website, even our website, to a certain extent, it's quite general. It's a broad brush where we're approaching a lot of different industry types.
You are.
Do you think it is better then for a business to go to stick their stake in the sand and go, right, that's the industry I'm going to go after. I'm going to concentrate on that. I'm going to be the best that there is in that particular market sector and go that way?
I would say for a large percentage of businesses, yes. niching down is by far the best way to go. We were talking earlier, and I spoke at a great event, an e-commerce event, on Thursday of last week. But how that business started out, they were a generalist. They were doing events for this and events for that and this and that. And they noticed that their numbers were dwindling for the amount of people that were coming to the event and then that were engaging with them as a business. They decided to stop that strategy, if you like, and just say, right, we're in the Southwest. We work with e-commerce businesses, and that's what the event's going to be about. And that particular event was all about digital transformation. So they niched, they focused, and I think he was saying that they've grown the team. They've got 4 new staff coming on board, and they're moving premises now. So the company's growing really nicely because they niched.
We started the programme by talking about why businesses will fail by 2020. Very briefly then, let's set up the rest of the show then.
Okay.
Why will some businesses fail by 2020? Is it because they are stuck back in the 1950s and the 60s and they really haven't moved on? They've just got away with it up until now.
Yeah.
Why will they fail by 2020?
For me, it's about education. So even if we just simply look at the different social networks that are out there, we have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, these social networks, they've evolved. You look at especially how Instagram has grown. They stole a very simple feature from Snapchat and allowed people to be able to just talk about who they are, tell a story around who they are. Instagram followers grew massively because of that one feature. So Mark Zuckerberg was very clever at the way that he bought Instagram and he's bought WhatsApp. And just to see how things are evolving and how those technologies are evolving. So somebody that might have started their business maybe 3 years ago and said, okay, I'm going to talk on Instagram and I'm going to talk on Facebook. And now what they're doing is they're pushing out the same type of content and the same look and feel of that content onto Facebook and to Instagram. Whereas Instagram, you should be doing a minimum of 5 to 15 hashtags. Now, if you're going to do a post in Instagram and do 5 to 15 hashtags and then automate that out onto Facebook because you haven't got the time to talk to your
look right, is it?
It's not going to look right. And as quick as those potential visitors and prospects come over to that page, they're gone because you're not talking to them in their native environment. And that native communication is so key to businesses moving forward.
Listen, we're going to talk more about this. If you find the whole world of digital marketing, you find it a little bit difficult, maybe your business is going to be one of those businesses that is going to be maybe not surviving to 2020 for the simple reason that you're just not prepared for it. Maybe today I'll give you a bit of an inkling, a bit of a guidance to where you're going to be going with your particular business over the coming months and the coming years. My guest on today's show is Warren Knight. We've got more from Warren in just a few moments' time on this edition of Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company with us as always. We're live here at lunchtime on a Monday, and we're going out on a number of different platforms. Hopefully that it is representative of that particular platform, the kind of content you're getting. If you're watching at the moment on Periscope, hello there, welcome along. It's a long form program. This is the studio for Business Connections Live. The guest Warren Knight, and we do hope you give us keep pressing those little hearts. Let's see what you get on there. If you're watching us on Facebook, leave a comment about the program as well. What do you think about the content that you're hearing? What do you think about the different things that Warren is saying? If you want to leave a comment on that, then please do that. And if we get an opportunity, we'll even ask the questions on your behalf to Warren as well before the end of the program. YouTube too, also You Watch, we're also there too. We're on a number of platforms. We're all over the place at the moment. And if you are watching on Catch Up at the moment, well, thank you very much for giving us the time to watch Business Connections Live. Let's go back a week now, shall we, and look at what happened in last week's edition of the programme. You may remember we had Julian Ponan. She was on the programme. She's the CEO of Creative Nature Superfoods. And she was talking how to secure investment on Dragon's Den. She'd been on Dragon's Den at the beginning of August, and that's when it actually was aired. Probably 6 months prior to that was when the recording took place. She won herself an investment from Deborah Meehan, which she later turned down, actually, because she felt that many of the things that Deborah was now offering, they'd achieved in the intervening 6 months. So they turned that down, gone their own way, and now are actually in a number of large supermarkets. It was a great show. If you are maybe in that business to consumer, that B2C kind of environment at the moment, it was a cracking show to actually watch. And she's a fascinating lady to listen to. Julia Ponan, let's just remind you what happened on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Now, on today's show, we're going to be discussing how to secure investment on Dragon's Den. Joining me in the studio today is Julianne Ponan. She's the owner and CEO of Creative Nature Superfoods.
So around 4.5, nearly 5 years ago, I took on the brand. It was in over £56,000 losses. And so I turned it all around, launched new products, brought Matthew in, and it was just two of us for 2.5 years. It's been incredible. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you say yes and figure out how to do it later.
Yep. So
it's been a whirlwind, and I think you've just got to ride the wave as an entrepreneur. You need to get out there. You need to make sure that you are at the forefront. No one's going to be able to do it for you but yourself. Dragon's Den is interesting. I mean, it gave us a great platform for publicity for the brand, and we were looking for investment at the time. I wanted to get people on board that would be good for the brand and that could open more doors. I think it's a great experience for anyone because they can really you can know a lot about your business in the prep towards it. So we managed to secure listings in Co-op and Sainsbury's within that 6 months, so it was incredible, before the show had even aired. Well, you had to condense your pitch to 3 minutes, so you have to make sure you get every piece of information you want in there in 3 minutes. So then it starts to say, which bit should I say first? Should I start with, obviously, what you're asking for you should start with, and then you go on to the business and what sort of awards you've won, and then where the product is, and sort of the figures come at the end. Peter said I'm out, and so did some of the other dragons, but Deborah showed an interest from the beginning, and we thought she might because of the health and wellness area, and we'd already proved traction in the market. Yes, it was interesting, an entrepreneur turning a dragon down, I guess, as you could say, but we had done so much in that period of time, and I just felt that it was a great deal at the time, but so much had happened, and I felt that it was too much equity to give away. I think TV is TV, and they have to make it entertaining. I think we came across very well. I was upset how nervous I looked, but I must have been nervous going into the den. I think any entrepreneur would be, but I think they played on my nervousness a lot. We launched into Iceland, the country, not the store.
Good point. Well made.
Into 3 supermarkets over there, and they were really impressed with the Dragon's Den side. We've also launched in Switzerland in the World Health Organization, which has been incredible, and they saw a spike in sales. Well, I just spoke at the BCC summit up in Birmingham, and that was incredible.
BCC means?
The British Chambers
of Commerce. Yep.
But yes, it was amazing to speak alongside sort of Paul Lindley, who's founder of Ella's Kitchen, and their advice sort of resonates with mine. In terms of import, we're not doing very well because of Brexit and the pound's weak, but in terms of export, it's opening up so many doors. So more and more British companies should be exporting to build this economy, because the power of they can buy a lot more for their currency now. Well, social media, I think, is important for every business, whether you're service or product. I think you do need a mix of everything, though. You do need print advertising, you do need TV, you do need everything. But in terms of social media, you can get results very quickly for not a lot of time and not a lot of money. So first of all, whatever your business is, you need to make it personal. You cannot keep it as just a business. No one cares. Everyone wants to evoke emotion. And that's what happened with us. We decided to put my face to the brand, and suddenly people started to want to know the product and know about me. So you use your own social media to constantly be pushing the brand. So as the creator of the bars or the creator of the muffin mix, why I suffer from the anaphylaxis, why did I start the brand? I'm Julianne Ponan, owner and CEO of Creative Nature Superfoods. My key takeaways would be definitely look up Alex Osterwalder and do the one-page business plan. Secondly, get into export. We need to build the UK's economy, so really start exporting. Thank you very much.
Julia Ponan there, and a fantastic show. If you do get an opportunity, do watch the entire programme. It was interesting just talking to Warren Knight, because you've done a little bit of work with Julianne, and it's a very interesting business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. That whole industry is exploding, and she's done very well to go through a redesign of the packaging, a focus on the product. She's really got to understand her customers. She has really looked at using social media and digital marketing as a way to reach her audience. So when we talk about companies failing by 2020, she really has gone through a digital transformation with that business. Not only is she focused on the B2B, working with the retailers, but also understanding the B2C side of things, and how if your customers walk into, whether it's an independent health food store or Waitrose, whatever it might be, they're asking for that product. So you're driving it from the top down as well, which when you're working with a big retailer, is very important.
It was a great show, so do watch the entire programme on Business Connections Live. There's over 250 hours of great business content there, from experts just like Warren, from Julianne, who's actually gone out there and done it, in fact, every topic is covered within the programme. And incidentally, if you think to yourself, actually a programme like this would be a fantastic way to influence my customers, my prospective clients, whatever, or maybe you've got a communications problem within your organisation and you just want to be able to talk to your employees, and a program like this could actually really work for you. Why don't you get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live? It's dead easy to do. You can drop us an email to studio@businessconnectionslive.com. If you want, you can also pick the old dog and bone up as well and give us a call on 01784 256 777. You can always follow our stream of consciousness at BCL Business TV on Twitter. You can also watch the programmes and also give your comments as well on Facebook too. It's as easy and as straightforward as that. And don't forget, you can go to the main website where you'll find all the information, all the programmes are all sitting there. They've been beautifully curated in one particular location at businessconnectionslive.com. Please do go to the website. You'll find out more about what we can offer you as a service organisation, everything from training through to your own particular customised, fully produced, high definition, beautiful productions about your corporate business. So we do all of that kind of stuff as well. Do get in touch with us, have a word. At least put us on your to-do list, your want list, and then we can have a bit of a chat about what we can offer you and how we can go about doing it. Interestingly, we had one of the UK's largest telecommunications companies in here, I think it was last week in fact, and we were talking about particular topics around GDPR and things like that. Very, very interesting panel of 5 people. We turned what I feel a webinar into a piece of proper interactive professional television that people would actually stop and listen and watch. So we did that with them. We could do that with you. Why don't you get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live and leave the rest of all the worrying to us, and we'll sort it out for you. You're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company. Join me in the studio today is Warren Knight. He's the top 100 global influencer in 2017, or he was one. And he's also an award-winning blogger, author, digital entrepreneur, and digital transformation strategist as well. We're talking about why your business may end up failing by 2020 if you don't get it completely right. We've got a number of topics that we're going to work our way through. Let's look at some of the key things. There are 2 here. You've mentioned already the unique tone of voice when you're talking to your customers online.
Correct.
And if I may be so bold as if you've got the right tone of voice, how do you then connect with a niche audience as well to actually to bring the 2 together? I mean, how do you go about doing that? What are the secrets? Because you know the secrets. What are the secrets?
For every business, it can be slightly different. So let's take a retail business. Seeing we've been talking about retail. Mm-hmm. If we use the tone of voice around, let's say our retail business has various different price point products. And we know that when a client of ours comes in and spends £200 on a product of ours, that person becomes a fantastic lifetime value customer of ours. Whereas someone that comes in and spends a tenner, they come in and spend £10 and they never come back again, and they're probably going to return it. So they might be a little bit troublesome down here, but at the top, they're a great lifetime value customer. So in a brand's tone of voice, they could be talking about price. So their tone of voice could be, come and spend £250 with us and get free delivery anywhere around the world. When you speak in that tone of voice, you are then removing the £10 people away, and the people that are interested in spending hundreds of pounds, they sit up and they listen. They're like, this company's talking about me spending £250 with them, then I must be the right person to be working with them as a business, because that's the amount of money that they're talking about. So going through what's called price anchoring in your tone of voice.
Oh, I like this. Price anchoring, yes. That sounds a good old buzzword. Write that one down.
Yes, indeed. I've actually worked with a lot of MBA students, so I'm working with those millennials to get them prepared, if you like, for the big wide world. And
so price anchoring then.
Price anchoring. So when you focus on a strategic campaign based around price anchoring, you are then removing all of those people that might listen to you saying, okay, come and buy this lovely little black dress from me. Okay, great. Well, I'm used to buying on a retail brand that I buy £20 black dresses for. But when you say, come and buy a little black dress, for £250 and get free delivering anywhere around the world, you're then talking in a different tone. And that person who is used to spending less money on that type of dress will not be interested in you as a brand, but the person who's used to spending that and more would definitely come and listen to you.
Now, you see, that's very interesting, because there are a lot of people out there that are, maybe they are one-man band brands, which isn't easy to say,
sure,
but they are small organisations, and they tend to be selling and marketing on price.
Yes.
And what you tend to see is the price anchoring is dropping.
It is.
And so what they're doing, they're just selling purely on price. They're not selling on quality. They're not selling on the content. They're not selling on any of the things that are really important.
No.
All they're selling on is, can I be the cheapest in the market to sell it on? We've seen that in our industry, in the video industry. There are organisations out there, and you will get emails from them say, there's one organisation in particular, and I think they've done all right out of it. An email will come through. We will produce they're very clever, 3 corporate videos for you for £99 each. Now, I always say to my dad, buy cheap, buy twice.
Yep.
That's what I always say
agree.
to him. And, if somebody is doing something for next to nothing, then the quality is going to be useless. It's going to be next to nothing.
It is. You pay for what you get.
You pay for what you get.
You do.
But yet, that is the way that many businesses still operate. It's all on this price differential.
Because, again, they don't know any different. They haven't researched their industry. They haven't spent time as a business owner. They're too busy working in the business instead of on the business. If they were able to take some time out, did a very simple audit of their industry and looked at who is gaining traction from a social media and online perspective, why are these people getting so many visitors to their website? Look at the tools that they're using when they arrive to their website that's enabling them to capture those details. I promise you, the people that are doing it really well at the moment are focused on giving an experience, not focused on the price.
It's interesting. You go to, I'm going to have to, don't bring the page up yet, but I'm going to refresh your page. And if we just have a look at Warren's page right now, this is Warren's website. So we've got a little bit about you that kind of positions who you are. I'm hoping, actually, it probably won't work now, but that the little sign-up form will pop up.
Box will
I don't
appear.
think it will pop up, because probably there's a cookie on there or something.
If you move your cursor towards the top right-hand side of the screen, as if you're exiting the page, it might come up again.
It might come up again.
So I have an exit intent pop-up that appears.
No, it won't. No, it won't. But it's interesting, because the tools that you're using on your particular website
Yes.
at the moment, you are capturing straight away, aren't you? You are looking to capture. You have an offer that comes up that says, "Here's what I intend to do. Here's what you can gain." A lot of people, though, would say that they find that objectionable, that they don't want to be sold to that quickly. They're just looking. Do you think to yourself, then in that case, then well, so be it. Of the 100 people that will come to my website, 20% won't like it, 80% don't care, and they may actually click through. Is that the way you approach it?
So that's the way that I used to approach it. Now, I like to call myself a creative entrepreneur. I love creating products and working with creative people. And so as a creative entrepreneur, I've had to really struggle with engaging with my left brain to understand data. So the data has become very, very important for companies to understand what their users are doing on their website. I know that over 70% of the traffic that I drive to my website comes from social media. So when I'm getting my return on engagement inside of social media and they're choosing to come over to the website, I've already built my credibility inside of those social networks. And I'm engaging with them to get them to come over to the website to then want to find out more about how I can help them. Now, the average time of somebody being on my website is around about 90 seconds. So that's when the option to actually find out more information pops up to that person. So I let them do what they want to do based on the data that I've found out over the years, 10 years nearly being online now, and I give them that option. What I've also found is that sometimes people go, I'm still reading that article, Warren, or I want to read that other article that I've now clicked through and gone and read that other blog that you've written. And then the pop-ups now disappeared. And they go, oh, I now want to find out more about that, which is why I have an exit intent pop-up. In other words, when you roll your cursor to go and have a look at another tab on your browser, then you might get another pop-up that would appear, which is then it just reminds them about that month's focus strategy that I've got going on to be able to help that person go through that digital transformation.
What about the actual assets that you've got on there? How important is it for somebody to own those particular assets that they're using on their website?
So important. Your digital assets are it's the one thing that you have online that nobody can take away from you. So if we use Facebook and Instagram as an example, somebody might say to you, go and grow a massive Instagram account, get all those followers, get loads of people following you, you'll get loads of engagement out because you've got loads of followers, and then out of that you're going to get loads of sales. Well, guess who owns those people? Mark Zuckerberg owns those people. You don't own a single person that you follow across all your different social networks. I've got over 100,000 people that follow me. Now that's a nice to have, but it has no meaning to me if the time that I spend inside social media actually doesn't give me, over a period of time, a return on investment. With my data, I know it sometimes takes my audience 2 years to make a decision from being a visitor to being a prospect who I nurture on a regular basis to then becoming a happy customer of mine. So if I don't utilize all of the technology that's out there at the moment and keep adding value to that person over that period of time, when they finally become to want to make a decision to work with somebody like me, because I've given them so much value over that period of time by using technology, I'm the first person they come to, rather than an advert that's just appeared in Facebook at an opportune moment.
It's interesting because a lot of people will look at Facebook, they will look at social media and they think it is instant. We used to have a saying in radio, it takes 2 years to build an audience and 10 minutes for them to forget you. Do you think that, are those timescales, do you think, still relevant? Is it, you were saying that it's interesting to say 2 years to actually educate and to convert an audience, but do you think that kind of timescale is still real?
It's different for each business, depending on your style, again, your price points, your products. We were talking about retail brands. If you have a £10 product and you spend a lot of money on marketing, niche marketing in those different native places, so you do, hi, thank you very much for following my page on and liking my page inside of Facebook. Click here to grab this £10 product. Now, you could spend a lot of money natively advertising to that person inside of Facebook to get them to come over to your website, for them to spend £10 with you when that product might have cost you, for argument's sake, £2.50. You could have spent £10 trying to drive them over there. So when it comes to knowing your audience inside of those social networks, it's important to understand how long they take and the cost of that person from being that visitor to a prospect to a customer.
It's very interesting. All this about the whole area of social media, I think, is fascinating. I think also as well that the whole vanity around numbers on social media is something that people need to wake up and smell the coffee to, because that is just absolutely barking.
It is.
If you have got 2.5 million people following you on Facebook, they are your friend. They are not your friends. They're just someone that is just clicked at random. They may never ever come back to your site. They may never see what you're doing again. They may have no influence on your life. They don't even know who you are. Yet people will mark it on that figure to say, I have a following of 2.5 million people. It's pointless, isn't it? It's pointless. The only ones that are relevant are the ones that have left the social media platform and have gone via your site.
Yeah, you will have those ones that are your brand advocates and love you as a brand, and they're engaging with you. So you started at the beginning using the accolade that I got of being a top 100 global influencer. Now, I won that accolade, if you like, not because I have 3 million followers, because some of the people in that list do have 3 million followers. I got that because of the engagement inside of my social networks. So some of the people that are in that list further to the top, they literally have 3 million, 10 million followers. And yet, the type of engagement, when you look at the ratio of that I get, which is the reason why I got that accolade, is because of my engagement, not because some of the big Americans out there have millions of followers. It's because of the engagement.
Millions of followers could mean diddly squat to your engagement levels. Listen more from Warren and I in just a few moments on this edition of Business Connections Live. Really fascinating show today, and I think there are a lot of people that are misguided, they don't understand, and they do not get what social media is all about. I think the most important point that's been made is it is driving people from the social media platforms to somewhere where you can actually collect their data, so it becomes part of your database, part of your assets, that list. And let's face it, I'd rather have a list of 100 people that would deal directly with me, that were qualified and knew what I was about, as opposed to have thousands of people on social media. Because even with us, I mean, you must find it as well with Twitter, you put something out on Twitter, on social media, and the engagement rate is actually very, very low, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is, but primarily with Twitter, whilst it is now an algorithm, it never used to be, it is that you've got about 10 minutes. And if people don't engage with you within that 10 minutes of that tweet, then guess what? They're gone, because they've got other things that have appeared in their stream that might be more important to them in that moment.
Somebody once said, and do you know what, 3 years ago might well have been you, but I don't think it was so. A tweet is like putting a piece of paper with a note on somebody's windscreen on a windy day. That is the lifetime of a tweet.
I don't use that analogy, but
no,
I
but
like
you can in the future if you wish. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have your company as always. Let's go back and get some more great advice from one of our past guests as well. Penny Power joined us on the program. She was with us on December 2016, and she came on to talk about why you need to be digitally skilled and highly connected. Penny Power, OBE. She was asking the question on the program. By the way, this is a great opportunity for you to actually check out the entire program. She asked the question how businesses are changing and forcing us all to become digitally skilled and highly connected. See the connection there? There was a time when business professionals or leaders could focus only on the skills that they traded in. Also a time when employment was the best option for stability and wealth. Well, new business people have to understand digital technology in order to build their worth in their market sector and also to manage their daily business tasks effectively. It was a great show. Here are the key takeaways with Penny Power, OBE.
Well, I am Penny Power. I'm from the Business Cafe. You can tweet me at Penny Power and get in touch with me. My big message to the world is friendship first, and in a socially connected world, really understand your value as a friend to others, and then I think your business will flow a lot better and a lot more joyfully.
She's also starting up a number of digital cafes as well. Just a fantastic woman. Joined us on the program, as I said, back in December 2016. If you want to check out the entire program, you'll find it on the website, Business Connections Live. It is Business Connections Live 159. Incidentally, today's program is 201. You missed the 200 program by a week.
I did a podcast 2 weeks ago now, and I was 199.
See?
So I'm not destined to win the 200,
not.
seal of approval. But congratulations on getting over the 200.
Well, that's fantastic, and we're very proud of ourselves here at Business Connections Live to have achieved those numbers. And we'd like to thank all our viewers, all the people that support us on an ongoing basis, on a weekly basis when they support the program. So thank you very much indeed for being out there. We really do appreciate you being part of the generation that is now becoming the Business Connections Live generation. You're watching Business Connections Live. Joining me in the studio today is Warren Knight, Top 100 Global Influencer in 2017, and also award-winning blogger, author, digital entrepreneur, and digital transformation strategist to boot. And if you're ever passing Warren, please boot him for me. Brands must nurture their database to win more business is one of the comments that I've heard you said. You kind of alluded to it earlier on, and we're talking there about how we do nurture that database. We take the names off our social media platforms, we drive them to our own websites. Are there any techniques, a bit of a quick win, are there any techniques that you use to drive people from social media to the website so that we see that increase in traffic and that we can do that conversion? Is it the offer when they get there? Is it the proposition when they're on the social media platform? How do we get that bit right?
If you want to get that right, don't talk about people coming and buying your product and service. That's how you can get it wrong. It's about kind of sharing what your passion is around your business and giving people an experience around that business. So you could quite easily, let's say, depending on your style of business, you could run a competition. So by running a competition inside of, you could use Facebook as the focus for where you want to bring people to and then amplify it across all the different social networks. But again, you could be using a tone of voice. So we're giving away £5,000 worth of consultancy services for corporate companies to, increase their bottom line. Something along those lines.
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
We're not. But yes, okay, we get the gist. All right, okay.
No, we're not going to do that. But again, you're using the tone of voice. You're using the competition as a way to pre-qualify anybody that would be interested in your business. And by using that tone of voice around your business, you're only going to entice the certain type of people, and within that then you can, like I say, filter the ones that are potentially going to be great customers of yours into your business. So competitions is a fantastic way to do that, and I love running competitions.
And have you done that recently yourself? You say you love doing it.
Yeah.
You do that. And what do you use? Facebook to do that? Twitter to use that? Instagram to do that? Or is everything around Facebook? Because a lot of people don't understand that you may have a lot of people following you, but whenever you do anything like an ad on Facebook or anything like that, you're not hitting everybody, are you?
No, you're not. And so for me, when it comes to we were talking about earlier about digital assets, bring everything back to your website. You own what's on your website, so you might run the competition inside of Facebook and use the other social networks to amplify that competition, but drive everybody over to your website to actually get their details. The website is your shop window, so everything must focus and revolve around your website. So all those digital assets then just become amplified on the different social networks, driving your traffic over to your website.
This kind of brings us back to what we said at the very beginning, that a lot of people have websites that are all things to all men. You go onto our website talks about the programme, it talks about catch-up, but it also talks about media training, and it also talks about production. I suppose in fairness, what we should be doing, we should have a different website that is the production website, a different website that is for the training, or at least a subdomain or whatever of it, so that when you drive people to the programme, to the show that we do every week, that's where they're going and that's all they see. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree with you. So if we take LinkedIn as an example around social media, LinkedIn has changed its algorithm literally in the last couple of weeks. So the old adage of I'm going to use a social media dashboard to amplify my message across multiple social networks doesn't work anymore. Because LinkedIn, as far as the reach that you have with doing an update inside of LinkedIn, if you add a link into that takes people out of LinkedIn, you're not going to get as many people viewing that post. So when it comes to...
Have they done that now, have they?
Yeah.
All right.
And I've tested it and it's quite frightening, the numbers, that, you know, the amplification that you can get by being native to that platform, talking to that audience, loading up an image and having a conversation with people in there is far more powerful than just going, here's the link that I've shortened, please click on it and come out to my website. So if we take your business as an example, we want to keep them inside of LinkedIn. We want to send them over to your company LinkedIn page. And inside of your company LinkedIn page, you have what's called a showcase page. So you've got your main LinkedIn company. And then on the side of that, you have your we can do this for you as a showcase page, or we can do this for you as a showcase page, or we can do this for you as a showcase page. So when you want to have a conversation with somebody inside of LinkedIn that's focused on one of those areas, you direct them through to that focused landing page on your company page. So it's a showcase page.
Very interesting. So this is a landing page
Yes.
that you're now setting up within LinkedIn.
Exactly.
And is it from there that you then take them to your website?
Yeah, so that's where you talk about, you give them that experience around what you can do for them, and then at the bottom of that page, you know, pick up the phone, have a conversation with us, you know, we'd love to come and have a meeting with you. Because if it's a let's have a meeting value proposition, then that's great. Whereas your other showcase page might be, come over to our website and sign up to watch the last 201 shows that we have. So you're getting that user from a tone of voice perspective to take a different action based on the value.
Do you know what's really interesting about that? Because I didn't know that about LinkedIn, didn't know that they changed the algorithm and what they were doing. Because LinkedIn was going down the route of it being blatant advertorial, wasn't
Yes,
it?
yeah.
And a lot of the posts were nothing more than just adverts to leave LinkedIn and go over here.
Exactly.
And actually what they've done, they've closed the door, haven't they?
They have. They've learned by their mistakes, and obviously Microsoft now own it, obviously. So they really want to keep people in that environment because they want people to market to them in that environment.
If anybody at LinkedIn is listening, by the way, if what would be great on LinkedIn, I don't know whether you can do it yet, would be to live stream within the platform.
Yeah. That
That would be fabulous because we'd keep them quite happily within the platform on LinkedIn. We'd be very happy with that. Really interesting. There's another question that's come in. How to develop the mindset of always thinking sale. You've kind of, earlier on in the programme, gone away from it not being sale, but should we somewhere in our psyche be thinking that we are forever closing ABC?
Yes.
You know, should we be thinking about closing all the time? It's all about closing.
I think I wrote a book on sales many years ago now, and I look back at that book and I cringe because of the tactics that I took from some amazing brains from decades ago and applied in my own style from a selling perspective. It makes me cringe because it is all about...
What's the biggest cringeworthy thing that when you were reading the book? Can you remember anything? Is there anything that makes your skin creep right now? Because that's good, because it shows that there is, you know, that you have a weakness, and the killers feel bad.
So, you know, one of the ones was the takeaway close. In other words, well, but we don't want to give you that. You know, but you don't deserve that, you know, or you don't have the money to afford me.
Right.
So just the takeaway close was one of my favourites. But thank you for putting me on the spot. So I think, and I'm going to reference a fantastic individual that I follow online who is really changing the way people think, and he's fantastic. His name's Scott Oldford, and he talks about there are 3 stages that you as a business need to communicate to your audience. So what he talks about is that those people that are just visitors, he calls them, we're going to put them in the sidewalk. So in other words, they walk slowly down the road. They're not quite sure whether or not they want to go through a digital transformation. They're certainly not sure that they want to work with you as a business. So why would you go, come and buy from me when that person A, isn't ready and B, doesn't know you? So those people walk down the sidewalk. Then, once you take them from that sidewalk and you've built trust, then you bring them into the slow lane. So now you're really adding value to these guys, and that's where you might run some webinars, you might do some group coaching, do some, group mentoring. I really don't know. There's different ways that you can talk to that person, and they might be at a low level price point, so they might be your £10 retailers, so they're in the slow lane of your business. And then you get the fast lane, so they've had to traverse or play Frogger, as I did the other day with my little 8-month-old baby girl, to try and get across the tracks to be able to get right to the very top to hide in my little cubby hole as a little frog. But when you're in that fast lane, you know what you want, you know the person that you like, you know the company that you want to work with, you've got the money to do it, you're ready to make a decision. You don't need to sell to those people, because they've come through your slow lane and your sidewalk. They've built trust with you as a business. They are now ready because they've gone, I like this person, I like this brand, I've got the money to spend, I want to spend my money. It's not a case of that anymore. It's about what is the lifetime value of that person and how we can turn that person into an amazing brand advocate of ours.
So very, very different. But still always thinking sales, though?
I think you'd be very foolish not to.
Because that's what it's all about, I suppose.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
A business cannot survive without.
We've still got to talk about branding, brand advocates for awareness at zero cost. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And what to do today to get prepared for success. Because we don't want these companies failing
We do not.
for 2020. My guest on today's show is Warren Knight, top 100 global influencer in 2017, award-winning blogger, author, digital entrepreneur and digital transformation strategist. I don't know about you, but I am finding today's programme absolutely fascinating and interesting as well. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have your company. We're live here on a Monday. By the way, if you're loving the programme and you'd like to help us out and get more people to maybe join our little throng that we do here every Monday, we're getting thousands of people downloading us on iTunes each and every month. So thank you very much to you if you are one of those people that is maybe not watching the live programme but is listening to the programme after it's been recorded and broadcast. If that is you, then please, would you just kindly leave a glowing review. A 5-star review is what we're after. All you've got to do is go onto your iTunes page, just go into iTunes, view in iTunes the actual programme content that's there. You'll find a tab on that that's for ratings and reviews. If you click on that tab, there you go. It'll take you down to here where you can write a review about the programme, what you think about it, leave 5 stars, say what you thought about maybe Warren's advice and the information that he's given today. And what will happen then is when somebody else is watching one of the other business programmes, maybe not an existing viewer of Business Connections Live, but if they're watching one of the other thousands of business programmes that are on iTunes, they will then be recommended because of you, they'll be recommended to watch Business Connections Live. And that'll increase the number of people who are watching it. The more people who watch, the better for us. And that means that we can keep the programme going. But as I said, this is programme 201. So thank you to everybody that's been watching the programmes over the past, I think it must be 3 years now. 3 years, maybe even longer than that.
I think so.
It feels like 4 years. So thank you very much indeed for all the people that watch the programme every Monday at 12 noon. My guest on today's show, joining me in the studio, is Warren Knight, top 100 global influencer in 2017, award-winning blogger, author, digital entrepreneur, and also digital transformation strategist. We've been talking about all things about why your business will fail by 2020. If you just take maybe one piece of the information that we're giving you today, we're hoping that that won't be the case. You will survive past 2020. While we're talking about it, let's talk about your book before we get back into the whole raft of things again. This is the second edition, isn't it?
It is.
Think Digital First. It is a cracking book. I've got the first edition of this. I think I've probably won this copy now as well.
I think you have.
I have. It's got my finger marks all over. This is a terrific book. What I liked about the previous one is it takes you through the process very clearly, in a very understandable way. I think a lot of these business books are sometimes written in such a way that they assume that the reader knows everything. I mean, if you're coming into social media and you're using social media for the first time, and you really just want someone to handhold you through the processes that you should be thinking about, I cannot more highly qualify this particular book. It is truly, the bit that's important about the cover of this is what's written just here. This bit, the modern day entrepreneur's workbook to business growth. That's what this book is about. Yes, catchy title, put it back on again. Catchy title, but that's the bit that's important. It is for entrepreneurs today. It's a great way to work your way through what you need to know and understand when it comes to using digital media to promote and market your organisation so that your business grows. You don't have to pay me for that, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because I actually believe that. I thought the first book was a sensational read, and I'm sure this one, the updated version, will be better.
Yeah, I really, I spent a lot of time listening to my audience, and we were talking about digital assets earlier and about brand advocacy, and I've got so many pictures of people like taking a picture of it, when they're sitting on the beach or they're on the train or they've got a cup of coffee, whatever it might be, and I noticed that people were making loads of notes in the book, and I was like, no, do you know how long I spent writing in that book? And they're just making loads of notes in the book. So when it came to actually, wanting to rewrite the second version and talk about what I've been going through, both from a personal and a business perspective over the last 3 years, and how things have changed, both for me and in business, I kind of wanted this book to be a workbook. And you very kindly flick through some of those pages and you notice there's a design your own brand style guide. I give you what I've got, and now I'll tell you where to go and choose the exact colours that you want, the fonts that you want, what your second font's going to be. There's a great workbook in there in regards to your 7-day social media plan. And you've got a free plan that you can go and download from the website, and I take you through the step-by-step process of how to populate that plan so that you're staying really laser focused and personal to your target audience in that specific platform. So it was all about it being a workbook.
Yeah, and it is truly an absolutely cracking book as well. All right, let's get back to the case in hand then. The importance of building brand advocates for awareness at zero cost. You kind of half alluded to that. But at zero cost, because a lot of people are frightened that any form of marketing is going to cost them money. Some people will say if you don't invest into your marketing with hard pound notes or cash, then the marketing is valueless anyway. What would you say to them?
Well, there's two ways to look at that. One, there's the audience that you've built inside of that social network where you want to, talk about who you are as a brand, and you want to give that experience around who you are as a brand. And by giving your experience around who you are as a brand, from a credibility perspective, the best place to go to are your customers. And those customers will quite happily jump on a podcast with you where you can split screen inside of Facebook where you're the owner of the business, but your customer's doing all the talking. That type of marketing is so powerful and it costs you nothing. Go and write a case study. It doesn't cost anything for you to be able to go and have a conversation with a customer of yours, to put that conversation into a downloadable PDF that then you can capture that name and email address because you're being laser focused and talking to that audience with that tone of voice around the success that one of your clients have had by working with you. That doesn't cost anything to put all of that together, and so that's where when people talk about you online, it's important to listen. When somebody says, I went to this great event and I met this great person, they might not have known your Twitter handle or your Instagram handle, but there are great tools out there that allow you to listen in to those two specific words. I use a little tool called Mention. Now, if somebody doesn't know my Twitter handle or any of my different social network handles, they just mention my name, Warren Knight. Well, this tool says, hey, Warren, you've been mentioned over here by this person, but they were mentioned your name. So whether it's your company name or who you are in business. So then you can go, okay, great, thank you very much to that person, and then use that as a form of marketing to quote, have a conversation, screen grab it, thank you very much. That person says something great about who you are. take that digital asset and use it as a way to give an experience to your online audience. You're not talking about your brand, your customers are.
And that's important. Okay, and what to do to get prepared for success? What do we need to do? Do we just need to pick which Range Rover we want to drive, or what should we be doing to prepare for success?
So, you might not like this, but I did a bit of a bit of a voyeur around some of your different social networks, and there's one particular social network that you're failing to use the technology correctly. And is it all right if I share this with you?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, great. So, you've been, before I came here today, you did some great, you spent your time creating some great images around who I am, different titles, so you've got a great picture, right?
Yep.
Then you take that picture and you then did a little bit of copy inside of Twitter. But what you can do inside of Twitter, instead of going, at so-and-so, which you're currently doing, so your tweet is broken up with other people's Twitter handles instead of giving people the experience around what they're going to get. Inside of Twitter, in the picture, you can tag those people into the picture. You can tag 10 people into that picture. So when you're doing your Twitter posts, you're only tagging about 2 people into those posts that might have been past people on your program. But what you can do in Twitter is tag 10 different people in that post. Then all of those 10 people are told that they've been mentioned, but their names aren't in the 140 characters, or Twitter's evolving to 280 characters in that post.
Right.
So that's one thing that you can do to change the way that you're using Twitter to make it even better, but tell more people about what you're doing through just that one little twist in the technology.
And it just goes to show you, doesn't it? Because I think we sometimes use, if you're using Twitter within your business environment, because there's so much to do. And I suppose there is no excuse. If you're going to do it, either do it properly or don't do it at all.
But you're doing it the same way that you were doing it when I met you 3 years ago. But the technology's changed.
I consider myself well and truly told. Listen, and that is good advice, and I can tell you right now, they will be a-changing. Listen,
I'm going to hold you accountable for
that.
that.
It's going to happen, trust me. I will beat the team. I am the team. Okay, we're nearly at the end of the programme, as always. It's flown by, and yet there's another show waiting to be done.
Okay.
Isn't there? Really, because you could talk all afternoon, couldn't you? Okay. The key takeaways that we need to have for the end of the programme today, the key takeaways that if we are a business and we're watching this and you just need to sum the whole show up, the things that are going to stop me failing by 2020, just need to know those. And a couple of little nuggets of information. Say who you are, obviously where you're from, and if you want to promote your website as well, then please be our guest. Okay. It's straight down camera number 4, which is over there. Ralston is behind that, even as we speak. So please, the airwaves are all yours.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it's been a real pleasure to be on the 201st edition of Business Connections Live. So thank you very much for that.
Right.
My key takeaways for today are, I would like you to focus on one thing. I've shared today, and I'm going to hold you accountable for that, how that one thing might make a small change in the way that you're using Twitter at the moment. So what I would like you to do is look at one aspect of your business and truly understand whether or not it needs to go through a digital transformation. And I don't mind whether that's your website. I don't mind whether that's you're going over to your Facebook page and actually looking at your last 3 Facebook posts and people talking to you on those Facebook posts and you not communicating back to them. I'd like you just to do one thing and maybe engage with that person. Maybe use your images and tag somebody in something. Maybe look at using email marketing. You have a database of people. I've got a client who's got 1,000 customers that they've never emailed. So guess what we're going to be doing on Wednesday? We're going to be emailing those happy customers about the business. And guess what's going to happen? She's going to build engagement. She's going to build trust with those happy followers and those people that have already bought from them. And she's going to get sales because of it. So I'd like you to take just one action for your business and think about, once you've taken that action and implemented, what is the next one that you're going to take? And just by doing it slowly will help your business go through a digital transformation and not fail by 2020. So I'm Warren Knight. You can come and follow me on Twitter at Warren Knight. You can get me on warren-knight.com website. I have a digital academy called thinkdigitalfirst.com. You very kindly mentioned my book. You can grab this at thinkdigitalfirst.today, which is a different URL landing page that you go to. So you're not going to the website, you're going to the focused landing page of the book. And just come and say hi if you've enjoyed the show. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, or jump over to my website and give us a call. Thank you very much.
And if you get an opportunity to see Warren in the flesh as well, where he's doing some of his keynote speeches as well, then I suggest you go along and you watch those, because they will be not only entertaining, but they will also be informative as well. Listen, Warren, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. We mustn't leave it 3 years or whatever it was.
No, let's not.
It was too long. It was too long.
It was.
And I don't know about you, but it's been...
And you haven't changed a day, I must say, in those 3 years.
Yes. Bless him. What a liar. Bless
He
him.
paid me to say
that. The old chops there have got a little bit bigger, I'm afraid. Listen, that wraps up this edition of Business Connections Live. Once again, my guest, Warren Knight, top 100 global influencer in 2017, award-winning blogger and digital transformation strategist. So who we got lined up on future pros or coming up on future shows? Let's see. Do you know any of these people? Coming up, we've got Antonio Falco, the sales director. Do you know Antonio?
I do know of him, but I don't know him personally.
He's focusing on the next sale, regardless of Brexit. We had him on our Brexit debate. He was one of the ones who was behind leaving the EU. And he stood his corner very well. And, of course, he'll be on the programme in a couple of weeks' time. Also, we've got Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer. Yep. He's going to be joining us on the programme. Do you know Steve Mills? I do. He's a man that understands his marketing as well. Martin Robbins, owner of the HR department or debt department, insurance department, is going to be joining us on the program as well. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed today's program, please do leave a comment. Please also subscribe as well to the YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out our Facebook page. Till we do it all again, thank you very much indeed, and thank you very much once again to my guest Warren Knight. But from me, Steve Highland, have a great week. We'll see you next Monday at 12 noon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.